Hey, Kim.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Friday 10 a.m. Worlds of Wow live stream. Today, something we're going to be doing. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what we've been doing. We are going to actually have a creative consult with a church, and so you get to see, in a condensed version of what we typically would do as we partner with a church and learn about them and talk about their space. Again, this is Todd Parks. I'm the Senior Business Development Manager at Worlds of Wow. And then we have Kevin Cravens. Kevin Cravens is our creative director. And then we have Kim Walker. And so without further ado, I'm going to let Kim introduce herself, tell us a little about her story. And then we will jump into our consult. So Kim, tell us a little about you and your story and how you got to where you're at, and then a little bit about the church.
All right. So my story is I started doing kids ministry probably about 15 years ago after doing business and what have been at some pretty large churches. And the last one that I left was about 20,000 people. And I have a friend who's becoming a pastor of a church here in Smyrna, Tennessee. And so I'm from California, and that's where I've been and served in ministry. Excuse me. And so I got a call last year, and my friend asked me if I would come out to Tennessee and help him out at a much, much, much smaller church. And I said no at first, and then as it has it, here I am. I've moved across the states to really help some big change in a small church. So I took a position as kids pastor at a church, again, in Smyrna, Tennessee, called Springhouse. And we are, the pastor is one of the older pastors retiring, and then we have the new pastor coming in. And he is big for change that starts in August, and we are getting ready with kids ministry. It's been a little bit outdated, actually, in some of the decor and that type of thing, but working on a totally different budget than we do at large churches. And just excited about what God is doing, and it's a fun challenge, and also to see what He's working here.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's a big church, small church, but the vision and the mission still the same. So, and that's one of the neat things that we do at Worlds of Wow is we are able to design based upon a specific budget. A lot of times that can be whether it's full 3D and coming off the wall, or it's condensed, or maybe just an applique that we layer a little bit. Those are all things that our team's really good at. Kevin, I'm going to let you jump in. Or ask that you jump in and just start asking, as we typically would do with creative consults. Part of what we do is getting to know the client and understanding their culture and their community, as well as their vision. So Kevin, if you just jump in, and then I know we have about 35 minutes or so, but then we're sure we want to, just talk more about her space and analyzing that. So Kevin, why don't you just go ahead and take the reins and ask away.
All right. So yeah, like Todd said, I mean, I think Worlds of Wow, I mean, we're kind of full service, anything from kind of flat on the wall to coming off the wall and interactive and moving or whatnot. But I think something that's really important to us and kind of what we're doing today is before we get to the what, we really work to understand the why. And so really work to understand our clients, and today Kim and the church that she'll be starting at. And so I'm going to turn on a few things. I pulled in some of the pictures, Kim, that you had sent of your space. And actually, I'm going to show some of the originals. So this is when she started, this is what you were working with, right? So a little bit of the powder blue walls, and somebody had come in, and it looks like maybe painted some storefronts around the different classrooms. Is that right? Yeah. And they got some characters kind of in the background here in the check-in, and then a 3D tree. So Kim, she contacted us a few weeks ago, and I think just right off the bat, knew she wanted to do something. And so we gave her a couple of paint colors from some different projects we had done. And she on her own with her team went in and actually repainted the space. And so I think this is already a kind of a better start process in transforming your space. And so I just want to say good job. So let's see. Pulled this up a few weeks ago. So this is kind of our funnel of, before we get to this and start talking about the theme or the story or the what, I really want to understand, who the church is, where God has placed them, understanding their community, understanding the people that God has put in their lives to hopefully impact and connect with, and then really understand why the focus on the kids ministry now, understand a little bit of the heartbeat of the church or whatnot. And so we have a few short minutes right now, but hopefully I just do a condensed version of this. But I think we got a little bit of who the church is. Well, maybe a little bit of your story, Kim, but would love to hear some specifically about Springhouse Church, and I guess what's important to Springhouse Church, what defines them, what makes them unique.
Yes. Well, it's an artsy church, I think, which makes it kind of unique. So they do community theater in addition to ministry. But I know that over the years, they haven't spent as much somewhat on kids ministry. A couple years ago, they did the update that you saw there.
Mm-hmm.
And, but they are a little bit more trendy than the kids ministry showed.
Okay.
And one of the things that I really explored when I was especially coming from California. And but they are just have a heart for families and kids, and there are a lot of kids.
Okay.
So I noticed that we didn't represent where their heart was. They had remodeled the main areas, and they are much more updated. And
Mm-hmm.
so coming in fresh with fresh eyes. The goal was, let's make it better. Let's get something to get these kids excited, especially now that we have some time to do that without, while people aren't in the building.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. And tell me, you mentioned the church has a heart for family and kids. Tell us a little bit about the community. Is it a lot of young families, or what does the community look like?
Yeah, there are a lot of young families. Our younger ages are fuller than our elementary age at this point. The surrounding community, it's interesting. There's a lot of churches, which I found out sometimes churches on every corner. You're
not in California anymore. Yep.
Exactly. Yep. But there's still a lot of people to be reached, especially the community where we are. Surrounding that is some lower income that we can really reach and bring kids things that they can't experience. So it's got really a family feel.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, what's one way you guys have found to really serve families while we're kind of living with virtual connection right now?
Oh, we do. We've been doing video stories, some things I haven't done before. Doing the lessons, we use Orange curriculum, and we've been using a lot of their pieces, but also creating our pieces, because we found that kids and families like to see our people, especially when they're not connecting. We just started virtual small groups, which have really, really well. Doing some games and scavenger hunts online with the kids, which is really new, but it's working through Zoom.
Yep.
We're trying to keep everybody connected in a real way.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay. And this is I love Todd brings this up a lot, or asked it, but what do you, and you're new to the church, so maybe you're still figuring this out, but what do you think that your community would say about your church? Knowing there's a church in every corner.
Yes.
What would they say about Springhouse Church?
They appreciate Springhouse because they've done for a small church large events where they've reached out to the community. I do hear that it's a very warm and loving environment. You go in and they're friendly and joyful, but they do things to where they just put things out there. Whatever they can do for free, they'll do for the community.
Okay.
So, and I came in January. I started January 1st, so I was just getting to know people at home. Here we are.
Yep, exactly. Just getting to know, and then lockdown. Okay, great. I think we've kind of spent a little bit of time here talking about the why. I mean, has kids ministry always been important to Springhouse, or?
Yes, the kids pastor previously had been here about 29 years, somewhere around that time,
Mm,
the kids. And all that I hear is how much the kids knew they were loved. So
okay.
really poured into the kids and just a different style, I would say. Um,
Sure.
and so I know that we'll probably go for a broader reach in families and kids.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Kevin, let me just interject. Again, if you're just joining us, we are doing a live creative consult with Springhouse Church in Smyrna, Tennessee. Kim Walker, fairly new to the position, and then Corona hit, and so she's been forced to minister virtually really since March. So again, if you're just joining us, this is what we do on a regular weekly basis with clients, is where we do deep dives into who they are. And really, as Kevin referenced, we want to know the why before we discuss the what. So I think we're about to jump in a little bit into the what of who they are and really the big picture as far as what the design is going to look like. So Kevin,
Well, one more thing, Kim. I got the logo you had sent. You said this is a logo you guys just finished up. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So tell me a little bit about how you arrived here with this logo and just any meaning behind anything in here.
Yeah, well, if I didn't show you the previous logo, is a far cry. It goes a lot more. I don't know if contemporary is the right word, but it a lot more up to date. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I really wanted, of course, you want Springhouse in there, but kids to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Worked with a designer. I'm always when I like a little twist, so I said, can we do something with one of the letters, which is why the K is where it is. That little window, we're kind of now this has not been introduced yet because
Mm-hmm.
we just finished it right before everything happened. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that is windows to a house. They kind of it was a little twist that we're still going. Do we leave it? Do we not? But this was that's where we got it.
Okay. So these are kind of representing the windows to a house.
Yeah, Springhouse.
Okay.
To run off that, or space filler. You can look at it that way. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Great. And then, do you have like any colors you've thrown on it, or?
Not yet. We've got black and white right now, and again, we haven't even put it out anywhere. So we
Okay.
need to do that.
All right. Great. Well, let me pull up the pics. So yeah, you kind of went through and stripped down everything, and then went back and started to paint it. And then just to understand the space a little bit, this is the main entry from the lobby, right?
Yes.
And then the check-in is over here.
Right.
And yeah, the hallway goes to the different classrooms, different areas, and these double doors, I think, lead to a different area.
Yes. If you go through those double doors, you'll head to more the elementary area.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think we're at the kind of did a good job of, once you walk through these double doors, well, either set of those double doors, I mean, you're in the kids area, right? I mean, it's it's pretty obvious at this point. Okay, great. And then tell me about what check-in ideally would look like for you guys. I mean, I see you got a desk there right now.
Yeah, we just actually found that we had a really small older desk and we found it in storage. So it needed a little bit of help, but that's what we had. So I was like, oh, I'll just move it in here for now. It's, when you come into the building, you come in, if I'm looking at that Springhouse Kids doors, you come into the left, you can see the wall that's on the left of the check-in area. So I know that is what parents see right when they walk in the door. Yep. That whole door. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's
okay. And knowing what we were kind of talking about last week for check-ins, and usually a good idea is to separate out regular attender check-in from first-time visitor check-in. I mean, is that something you guys were thinking about, or?
Yeah, we will. Right now, you don't see it. There's a little stand outside of the building, which I'm going to move into this space that where regular attenders can check in,
Okay.
but we don't have a mass amount of people right now. So
Okay.
everything is kind of like, how are we going to make that work,
Okay.
where we are right now? But yes,
Okay.
it
Great.
goes up the line if you don't. Definitely.
For sure. Okay. And then I know, I mean, you had sent some pictures of maybe some of the kind of looks you were liking, and obviously, got a pretty dynamic color palette. Is there a look and a feel y'all were going for? I know Pastor maybe sent like a picture of a town theme.
Yeah, he
Okay.
had seen that before, and I know the 3D. He loves that.
Hmm.
Of course, we're like, what's the phase that we can do everything that we want to do?
Sure.
But we have, if you go through those doors, there's no color in the elementary area. It's like
Sure.
so,
Okay.
but we do love the 3D effect, the fun. I want to say Roger Rabbit, Disney.
Mm.
Feel.
Okay.
Nickelodeon. I mean, you've got a lot to come from, but I'm very upbeat.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Now, did I guess that was kind of my thought, just looking at it and kind of looking at some of the history and listening to some of the history, just even the logo. I mean, obviously, house. You got the house windows in there.
Yeah.
Seems like before we almost did a small town theme. Pastor maybe likes the town theme.
Mhm.
It seems like maybe there's something there. I guess I'm kind of wondering, and I'm sorry, this is the preschool and nursery. This.
Yes. So there is a first through third class that uses it at one of the services, but it pretty much is known as that preschool hall.
Okay.
Um, and there's a kindergarten class that I'm hoping to move up to the elementary area because of the age, but right now that's where we are. But everybody checks in here. So
Okay.
you through here, you can't get in at any other door to go all the way back. So you also don't want to turn away those fourth and fifth graders.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm kind of wondering if, and I'm just thinking out loud in terms of that overarching story, but um, you have the younger kids and the older kids. I wonder if the older kids, if you wanted to do a town theme, maybe that could be more of the town theme. I wonder if like this area, and yeah, we'd have to figure out the check-in with everybody checking in here, but I wonder if we could really focus on the idea of the house part of Springhouse and the house windows, right? And so houses and backyards, and to me, those kind of communicate a sense of safety, a safe place for kids to explore and kind of have fun, right? So I think maybe for the age group that could be an interesting kind of route to take for this hallway. That maybe the kiddos are kind of doing life in the of say a big backyard, could have a clubhouse, could have places to explore, but just kind of in a you think about the fence, a safe environment, right? And then they walk through those doors at the other end and maybe that's out into the little bit of the bigger world, right? For the elementary kids, you're kind of communicating some things about growth as they're growing up as well. What do you think about that?
That sounds good.
It sounds good. Okay.
I'm a visual person, so when I see
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
it helps, but
for
yeah,
sure.
as long as it's kind of funky, because the thing I have to be careful is what we took down was a grass area and all
Mhm.
that, so we don't want to, of course, be on
Yep.
that.
Well, and I think I saw the picture that of the town theme, and for sure, even if we did something like that, I mean, sometimes
Mhm.
you can just kind of use kind of some of those ideas without saying, "Oh, this is like a town theme," right? And again, I know your visuals, we can look at that, but I guess just kind of looking at it. I mean, one thing I might do right off the bat is, I don't know if you need a lot out here, just because you got
Mhm.
uh, it's such a dynamic and kind of vibrant change as soon as you walk through those doors. So um, I pulled that purple, I think, from the end of the hallway around those other
Mhm.
couple doors. You got the purple. So I think you can just logo right there like that. I'm kind of thinking, so I did this as well. I cleaned up your check-in space, took out the check-in desk.
Okay.
Um, do this real fast. Let me cut this out as well. When do you all think you're gonna maybe get back in your space? Ideally,
I'm thinking our pastor just put out a video, and it's not going to be till July, I don't think.
sure.
Yeah,
Right?
and
Yeah,
then,
plenty of time to wrap it all up.
yeah, maybe even August 1st. So it gives us some time to do
Yep,
some things.
yep, for sure. Okay. I'm gonna let me see. I guess just playing off the idea of the house. I'm gonna pull in. I was thinking wood, but maybe let me pull this in some vinyl siding.
Mm.
Maybe play with that for a little bit. Let me try this. I wonder. I think, like you said, man, that corner is such a big opportunity to make a statement and to guide families in. And again, I think Todd and I are always thinking about that first time family, especially.
Uh-huh.
Right. And so, I'm already kind of pegging that desk you found as the first time visitor
Okay.
desk, but because we've talked about it, but and Todd, maybe while I'm kind of putting this together, you can talk about it. I mean, the difference between a regular attender, the needs of a regular attender, and then somebody there for the first time, and what that could look like with a different check-in. What do you think, Todd?
Oh, sorry, Kevin, I had a hard time hearing you. Yeah, I think, something that's really important we talk about quite a bit is who you're designing for, right? Are you designing this for the everyday church attender, which to some degree you are, but you're also designing it for the first timer. When they come in, what is their experience? And several items that are really important to a first time guest. Safety and security. It's really, really important. And then how do you get from point A to point B? Churches are really good at creating signs that are, 2 inches tall by 8 inches wide. And then you pack a lobby full of people and no one can see the signs. So they just want to know, they don't want to look stupid. They want to know how to get into a space. And Kevin and I talk a lot about is that understanding, you have introverts and extroverts to walk into your space for the first time. The introvert, they don't want to talk to anybody. They want to figure out where they're going, look at the signs, and get from point A to point B. The extrovert, they want to shake everybody's hand and be directed, by person to person contact. So especially, coming out of the coronavirus, pandemic is, I'm sure that churches are going to change, shaking hands and all of those things that, especially greeters, those types of things. So again, clear signage like Kevin's putting up so people can easily identify where they're going, where they're supposed to be. And that really removes a lot of anxiety for that first time guest. So that's really, really important when you think about a space. And then, one of the things that we try to help churches think about is you're a church of X today, but you're going to be a church of Y and Z, hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years. So we want to help you plan for growth. So having specific check-in areas, self-check-in, and then first-time guests. We want that first-time guest to feel appreciated and warmed or welcomed. We want to be a warm first experience. So these are all things that we look at, and what Kevin's putting together there. It's really, really helpful. Letting people know, and really good wayfinding signage.
So this may be, and I know you have this desk, and I think maybe an earlier conversation we talked maybe about doing something with it, and just sticking maybe with the backyard theme. And I know this would be something as we move forward to kind of maybe explore, think about, get some feedback on, and maybe have to adjust, just knowing we have other age groups in here. But even taking some stained wood, putting it on top of it, as kind of a white picket fence. That could be one way to do something with it. Let's see. Do this real fast. And you're talking about, I'm kind of putting this together. You're talking about, hold on 1 second, about signage as well, right? You're looking at least short term getting some signage for the space.
Yes.
Yep. So let me drop some of that in as well. This could be a potential opportunity. Sometimes just something tone on tone like this, big on the back wall.
Yeah.
Big statement. All right, so looking at this then, I'm going to look down this hallway. So I think, like, I mean, you nailed it. This right here is such a critical part of your whole setup and your whole layout, right? And so whether it ends up being this or not, I think for sure this is a big opportunity to welcome first-time visitors and then provide some of that clear direction of which way to, where to start and then which way to go, right?
Right.
But then I think once you establish that, it's kind of carrying that down through the hallway. And so are each one of these classrooms?
No, those are those are bathrooms, actually.
Bathrooms, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about this guy?
That one is a bathroom also. So the first one is a boys, the second one is family, or
Okay.
and the third one that's the girls.
Okay. And then are these classrooms down towards the back end of the hallway?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
there's like a drinking fountain right before that orange indent. Yeah.
Okay. Something similar, potentially, what you did up here, and that might be kind of interesting to do.
Yeah.
Is where you have the logo up here, left justified. You know, you could just have elementary, just kind of nice and big back here, right justified, right?
Right.
Those could even be, I mean, those might be, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch or something, letters that, you know, you would attach. Just give a little bit of dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be figuring out the classroom signs. And really,
what are your thoughts about, so Kim, are those bathrooms designed or only used for children?
They will be. They were women, family, and men, and I took that off, and we're making that adjustment.
Yeah, that's another safety and security feature. Kevin, what are your thoughts about dropping in a silhouette of a boy or girl or something like that on the doors?
Yep. Yeah, we've done that. Whether it's on the door, I mean, this maybe to the side. I mean, the flat door would be a little easier to do that on. So we've done that. Yeah, you kind of have the. So this is the family one, though, right? The first one.
No, that's the boys.
The boys, okay.
The boys, yeah.
All right.
I like that.
Boys, the girls down here. I mean, it's kind of almost the same thing, but maybe it's. And the trick is, making them look like they're, they're little kids. Maybe she has a skirt on or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then this one could say family. And there you go. And then remind me, if I go this way, where does that go?
Go which way? Oh, down that hall. Sorry. It takes you out. There's a hallway, and it's all orange right now, and there's a playground. That is our preschool playground.
Okay. Great.
And is that, Kim, is that an indoor playground or is that outdoor playground?
No, it's an outdoor.
Okay.
Great. Okay. I think we're running up against the time here, but I just want to kind of circle back just with some thoughts. But I think kind of, you see what I was doing here. I wasn't like necessarily going in and adding a ton more color. But I think, you kind of went the route, which I think it looks great, especially seeing the before of like the walls are colored, right? So you don't, you got the color, you're good on the color.
Right.
I think it's finding like, what are those accents, right? In this case, just initially, I think tone on tone is a lot of times a sophisticated, little bit of an upscale way without going crazy. I think white, and maybe again just playing off the idea of house, some vinyl siding, and even using vinyl siding. I was thinking, you could play off of this shape. That'd be another opportunity. Maybe even the classroom signs kind of play off of that a little bit. You could have those. But you kind of see here, it's actually a lot of white and tone on tone, and then just maybe the text is white as well, or it's purple, or like a gray or something, right? So I think the deal for this moving forward is, again, you don't need a ton of color. I think it's those pops of fun and those accents, and man, you got something good.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I really wouldn't have thought of the tone on tone. I really like that.
Yeah, it's a favorite. So yeah. And then I think it's just, we're kind of again, just in the few short minutes we had, it was kind of
Mhm.
maybe throwing out and talking about that overarching story. And like you said, you're visual, and I think, yeah, well, kind of operate that way. So typically we would get off of this and then start developing a concept package and getting on another call like this. And man, love it. Man, we hate it. Either way is okay, right? Either way is progress. But really, the goal is to dial into that overall story and that overall look and feel. 'Cause I think Todd and a few other people have said in the past, I love is, I mean, you all ultimately know your people best, and you all will be living this with us for 10 years or so. So I just want to make sure it speaks to you. Like we're the experts. We got a lot to bring to the table, but it's all in service to the vision that God has given you all.
Right.
So
Great. Yeah.
there we go.
These are
Kevin,
great.
if you could summarize, I'm sorry about that. This is, and really, if you talk about the theme, this is what we've talked about and categorized as a no theme theme. We actually defined it as color splash. And we're really getting away from, and some churches we still do it, creating, whether it's a underwater theme or even a pediatric dental office or a mall or YMCA, military base. A lot of these, those are all companies we partner with. But that the theming has shifted, and really the two key points, timeless, is really, really important, and sophisticated. So I believe this really speaks to both of those points, timeless and sophisticated, through what we call color splash. But maybe talk about that just in the last few minutes that we have, and then we'll wrap things up. But talk about that, because that's what we see here in this design.
Yeah, sure. So I think, we kind of figured that out about 8 years ago of, just this move away from like a literal theme of like a jungle adventure, underwater expedition or whatever. And so we started playing with that of, it was kind of the no theme, kid-friendly interior design. We started labeling it as color splash. And it's been a lot of fun. And I think some of our favorite projects, I think one that Kim had pulled off, Cornerstone Church, is still one of my all-time favorites, right? But I think the difference now and the trend now is, and I there's a lot of talk back and forth of like, what are the trends? Is the trends like literal themes? Is the trends no theme? And I think more than anything, the trend is the why. And so, I think a lot of these spaces have turned into just, nice colors and some nice shapes on the wall. And I think we're just passionate about the idea that the space can go beyond just looking nice. The space can be an active participant in the mission that God has given the church. And so again, just circling back to, that's why it's important for us to understand the who the church is and the why behind what they want to do, and really set up that process to kind of explore how we get to a transformed space. And so so the trend is definitely, I think, still kid-friendly interior design, color splash, no theme, whatever we want to call it. But we're passionate again about the idea that texture that we choose to use can communicate the story, right? That shape we choose to kind of work throughout the space can help communicate that story. And so it's just taking all this random stuff and then giving it intention.
Kim, what do you think about what you see?
Oh, I think it's great. It's I like the entrance, the Springhouse Kids, and I think it's a good direction.
Yeah, I do too. I love it. I mean, Kevin's a master. I call him. He's the genius behind the design. He always loves to say he has an amazing team, which he does. We have a very, very talented design and art team at Worlds of Wow. But yeah, this is really cool. Again, I think just looking at that space through the lens of a first-time visitor, it defines this is where we go. It gets very clear wayfinding signage, especially when we get a check-in. You have and something too to think about as well when we talked about where you're going to be at in 3 to 5 years and the growth that's going to take place. And it's having kiosks centered and placed throughout. Maybe it's the lobby. The main lobby plus here again, because you want to eliminate a bottleneck. And
Right.
while it's an open space, it's not a very large space. So we want to, those are all things we for sure want to keep in mind as we're doing that. Something we didn't talk about today, normally we do in these conversations, is having an inclusive environment, where kids of all abilities can play, and creating check-in areas for, if let's say that it's a parent that is wheelchair bound, and so how do they check their child in? So normally these are all things we would spend hours and hours talking about, but for the sake of today's abbreviated creative consultation, I think we're off to a great start, and this is definitely something that hopefully inspires you and your church leadership to, hey, here's a really great picture or visual or concept of what's to come.
Right. Yeah, I think it will, definitely, and we're excited. I'm hoping to talk to you more in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to build on this.
Great.
Kim, anything else you'd like to share as we wrap things up?
No, I think for anyone that's in a small church, I really think that sometimes we feel bound by finances, but a little bit of paint goes a long way, and the ideas go a long way to make a difference for the kids.
Yep.
That's
Amen.
Yeah, I love to say, and I spent many years in children's ministry. Some of the greatest evangelists that we have in our church are kids. So create a space, a compelling space that kids want to invite their friends to, and we know that one of the key factors in church growth, it's reaching young families, and that has to be a focal point, and really an effective missional strategy for the overall growth and success and health of your church. So, Kim, we're so grateful that you joined us today. Kevin, again, great job. And then just like to add, if you're viewing this and you'd like to learn more about Worlds of Wow and how we can transform your space, for 17 years, we've been privileged to transform over 900, getting close to 1,000 spaces all over the country. We'd love to help you. You can email us there at the email below, hello@worldsofwow.com. Again, thank you for joining us today. Kim, again, thank you, Kevin. Again, great job. And hope everybody has a great weekend. Thank you so much.
awesome.
Bye, all. Bye, Kim.
Bye.